This is the J Pitt Show.
Let's get to the listener question. And this one's very, very timely, especially for anybody living in Kentucky or the Midwest right now. How do you get a sign in the yard when it is rock solid?
Well, it's funny because we do have seasons as much as we would rather not have them at this point because, we've been in the frozen tundra for the past month.
It's funny, too. Every season right now seems like more extreme, which in the winter, that's bad. But we had a really good fall.
Great fall. Late fall.
Summer was pretty hot.
We had a crazy mild winter until this.
All right, let's get back to the original question. How do you get a sign in the ground?
Yeah. So I carry both a rubber mallet and like a heavy hammer, like a short sledgehammer, like not a big sledgehammer, but you can buy those like coated, like powder coated, like heavy 10-pound hammer kind of deal. And I just keep one of those in the toolbox in the truck.
You carry a little piece of like 2x4.
2x4 is nice when you're using the heavy hammer because you damage the sign. Yeah. So I do have a small like block of 2x4. The rubber mallet is what I use normally.
Yeah.
But the rubber mallet ain't doing the job. It's and we got to talking about seasons because what I was going to say is this happens in the summer too. You don't try this in late August.
Yeah.
When the ground is hard as a rock just because it's, essentially drought conditions by then because there's not any rain late summer here. I mean, it's pretty crazy. So yeah, you just gotta, you gotta do the old stand and shimmy kind of jump on it, on the little rail thing. Be careful if you're on the heavier side like me.
Probably look ridiculous doing it.
You're going to look ridiculous. You might break the bar underneath the sign, and then you can't get your rider on. And you got to hammer that thing. I mean, there's no other. You're not going to melt that ground.
No.
You're not. It's frozen 20 inches deep. Like you got to go through the ice.
I will. So I sell a lot of new construction, and in the summer when it's super dry, there's usually sprinklers or hoses at all the houses, and I'll bring that sucker out and I'll water the ground down before I put a sign in.
There you go. It would help. Now you might.
But
you might
I
get a
do
little
carry
muddy.
the rubber mallet and all that.
Yeah, it's just there's no other way. Funny enough, my brother tore his Achilles putting a sign on the ground a few years ago.
I knew he tore it. I didn't know that's how
he had a partial tear from playing basketball that he was walking on. Yeah. He probably should have gotten addressed. Yeah. But you can walk on a partial tear if it's small. He was kind of told it was a tough time because his wife was about to give birth to their daughter, and he was playing basketball and got injured and figured this is a bad time to be hurt. So he's just going to power through. And then, his subconscious mind took over when he went out into the yard to have a sign, and he threw his foot up on that sign to kind of drive it into the ground with his foot, and that's when it tore.
Yeah.
Which I'm trying not to be too graphic because, I can see how someone could have an aversion to that. But, then he couldn't even stand and hold his daughter for the first 8 weeks of her life. So imagine having... it's not been that long ago. Yeah. Imagine Rowan just born and you can't help with anything for 8 weeks. You can't hold the baby unless you're sitting. And then she has to bring the baby to you to hold the baby. If the baby needs something, you can't get up and do it.
Sounds kind of nice, actually.
Ryan, it's on record now. It's on record. We will tell Hillary what you're doing.
Oh, that's fine.
We're hip to your plan.
That's fine. Well, okay, so we were talking about how you get a sign in the yard and carry a mallet with you, maybe a heavy hammer, 2x4 piece. So this leads really nicely into the next thing. So with these cold temperatures and being super cold out, and agents showing houses all over the place, driving an hour plus sometimes, I think it's very important because I do this. You were talking about the show before we started. You were talking about this. Carry a sweatshirt, heavy jacket, gloves, a toboggan. Carry some warm clothes for your car because if you have car problems somewhere, it might be a while before somebody can get there. AAA will tell you it's going to be 20 minutes and they don't show up for 4 hours.
It's bad, man.
Just for safety, carry some warm clothes.
It's 10 degrees right now. which is about on par with what
it was.
It was
2 when we woke up.
I saw 0 on my watch this morning.
Oh,
when
yeah?
I was taking the kids to school. I just remembered like the feeling when I opened the garage door and I went out to get out in the car. It was just so quiet.
Yeah.
You know, like it's something like about the cold that makes everything really quiet. Like, I don't know if it's just nature sounds are not there. There's no nature's white noise.
Yeah.
It was just like stark quiet. I was like, oh, wow. Of course, you know, it felt really cold because it just came out of the warm house. And so you don't want to get caught short not having the proper attire. If you lose the heat in your car or your car won't start or, God forbid, you have a wreck and you're stuck somewhere waiting on a wrecker or the police, you run out of gas, you don't have a cell phone. I don't know. It's just like this is the kind of temperature that you can really get hurt if you're not prepared. It's too easy to throw. I've got a thin coat, a Patagonia, but it's actually really warm. I've got a thick, like big winter heavy coat, 2 pairs of gloves, a scarf, and a hat, all in my truck at all times.
Yep.
You know, and I get kids in and out of my vehicle multiple times a day, so that shit gets in the way. And I just shift it back and forth. It goes to the front seat, to the back seat, to the front seat, to the back seat. The boots, I've got a big pair of snow boots in there. I mean, it just, you know, you just got to be prepared.
That's the only unfortunate thing about a truck.
Yeah.
There's not like much room to put stuff.
Well, I've got a a quad cab, so it's pretty roomy, but I could throw the stuff in the bed, but I've got a cover on the back, but
I do too.
there's no point.
I don't think my cover's mostly waterproof.
It's not entirely waterproof.
Yeah, like there will be.
You have a
water
hard
on
cover
the
or
end.
a soft cover?
Hard cover.
I've got a soft, but
So yeah, if you're an agent, make sure you do that, or just really anybody should do that. Honestly.
yeah, I think so too.